Delbert Tallman. I was born in Dearborn, Michigan.
When?
In 1935, June 30th, 1935.
June 30th, 1935.
Right.
Wow. And?
I worked for the Ford, I'm retired from the Ford Motor Company now. I worked for Ford before I went into service, but I only had 60 days there, so I lost my seniority. My father worked for the Ford Motor Company for 45 years. He was a gate attendant, or whatever you want to call it, on the gate at Fairlane Estate for Henry Ford. And he worked at the bomber plant in, I guess that was Ypsilanti. They made the B-24 at that time. And my mother worked for the Ford Motor Company too, but for just a short time. I graduated from Clinton High School in 1954.
1954.
I was going to go to college, but the government had different ideas. So when I got drafted in that, well, I was drafted in 1955. I went in April 5th of 1955 and got out the 11th of January in 1957. Coming home, I had
You drafted into Army, right?
Yes, I was in the Army.
So what kind of basic training did you receive and what was your specialty?
Well, I was trained for the quad 50s. Well, and twin 40s. There was automatic weapons, self-propelled. But when I got to Korea, they put me driving truck. So I drove a deuce and a half and a 5-ton for pretty much the whole time that I was there. I worked in the motor pools and headquarters battery of the 50th Artillery Automatic Weapons Self-Propelled Battalion. And this gentleman here straightened me out on this. I thought I was in the little town of Chuan, but it's Suan. Just outside Atlanta, actually. I landed in Incheon. That was an experience right there. The tide comes in and goes out so quick that we really had to get off the ship in a hurry. But other than that, well, the brakes went out on one of the trucks and that, and I wasn't brave enough to write it down. I jumped out. And I got a few pictures of it and that. But
Before we talk about your service in Korea, when did you leave for Korea? From where?
I left from Korea from, I was in Fort Lewis, Washington for 2 weeks. I actually took basic training the second 8 weeks in Fort Bliss, Texas. And then I was in Fort Lewis, Washington for 2 weeks. Then we sailed for Korea from there.
When? Do you remember any chance, by any chance? Month? What month was it?
I think it was in November.
November of 1955?
Yes.
Okay.
But I don't remember the day that we arrived there. I know that it was cold and that, but I went over on the General H.B. Freeman, and that it was a slow ship.
Did you stop by Japan?
No.
Was it direct?
It was direct.
From Washington to Incheon?
Yes.
Okay.
I got to Japan on R&R.
Oh, okay, R&R. So you arrived in Incheon and you drove the truck, right?
Yes.
Yes. In Suwon?
From Chuan out to the line batteries, we had 4 line batteries. At that time, they called them A, B, C, and D batteries.
Okay.
And that, but I drove a deuce and a half. I drew rations and water and ammunition and that, and out to the line batteries. I mean, at that time, they called it line batteries.
Okay. So you arrived in Korea after the war.
Yes.
Tell me about the life there. What was like being in Suwon in 1955? What was the scenery? Was everything devastated? Tell me about that, please.
Well, there wasn't much there at that time. There was only about 6 or 8 houses at the very most. And I remember one house, and it was seen to be better than the rest of them.
Uh-huh.
Excuse the way I put it, but I mean, they said it was, when I got to Seoul, though, there was only one house like the house that I seen in Seoul.
Mm-hmm.
So, other than that, I don't remember much about the countryside. It was barren.
Mm-hmm. So nothing much left there.
No.
Mm. How about the people there that you saw, the Koreans?
There was the buses. I never seen people crowd on a bus like they did. They would be sitting on top and hanging on the back, and all their belongings was up. They'd throw it up on top of the bus. And that, it was kind of comical to see them in that. And then you could smell the honey bucket wagon long before you could see them. But other than that, I don't remember much. My memory is really gotten bad. What a lady friend of mine says I should have wrote it down. And that, but I didn't. I wrote some things down in my scrapbook. I got about 6 or 8 pictures of the countryside and like that, of the motor pool and that. I remember one time they tried to blow the gate on the motor pool.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know who it was in that, but
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I can't tell you much more.
Ivy Bell, she is the great-granddaughter of Bill Baker, who was the Korean War veteran and also POW. She is sitting with me, helping me taping your interview, and I happen to know that you are from the same place.
Yes.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, so you're saying we don't even know each other, but now we're acquaintances.
So I created KWB Youth Corps. It's like a peace corps created by the President Kennedy, and to continue on your legacy. And I hope that she will help me to bring more interviews from her place and the region. Do you have any question to him? Very general question, whatever.
Very general.
Whatever.
All right. Let's see. When you say that they tried to, okay, what is, you said the motor pool? What is a motor pool?
It's where they park all of the trucks, the Jeeps, and semi trucks, deuce and a half. That's a 2-ton truck, in case you didn't know. And that's where we parked them at night. It was all enclosed in barbed wire, and that you just you couldn't come and go as you pleased. We had a gate guard, you might say, that was on the gate 24/7. So you had to have a pass to get out, you had to have a pass to get in. Nobody just come and go as they pleased.
And so, as a truck driver, were you like an equipment hauler, or what did you exactly have to do?
I drove for S4 at Supply, and I hauled ammunition, water, and rations. I went to the ration points and drew rations and that mainly for the headquarters company, but sometimes we took them out to the line batteries too.
Mm-hmm.
I made it up to the DMZ a couple times. One of the boys I grew up with in a small town, he was stationed up there, and I was able to take a Jeep and go up and see him. And it was kind of surprising. I met him at the supply depot, and we was all parked in line to get rations and that, and we had to wait quite a while. And I got out, was stretched my legs, and walked up and down, and here I've seen this here kid I grew up with in one of the trucks and that. So I was able to go up and see him and that. Other than that, the DMZ, they didn't have anything up there that I cared to see.
Right. It wasn't much of anything just yet, or
It seemed strange.
what did you think about it?
What did I think about it?
Mm-hmm. Your
Well, it was a
impression.
good place to be away from.
Yeah.
You could sit there and you could see them watching in binoculars, watching our side. Of course, we did the same thing, so I guess you can't really complain too much.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember a couple raids that they came across the border. They denied it, but we knew that they were doing it, but it didn't do any good to complain, because I remember just shortly after I read that a sergeant and a corporal in a truck got ambushed in that just shortly after I left. And so I made 2 or 3 trips to the, what do they call them, rock soldiers, or?
Yeah, Katusha?
Yeah,
Katusha.
Katusas, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had a Katus ride with us all the time in the truck to, you might say, as an interpreter, and like that. I never learned much of the language and that, but I learned enough from the Katusa that I rode with all the time. And I met one Korean officer in that, and I wish that I could have remembered his name. I'd like to see if he's still living today. I had to go and pick up some Katusas and that from their company to bring back to ride shotgun, we called it, in the trucks. But maybe one of these days it'll come to me just what his name is. But then I have no way of contacting anybody over there to find out anyway, so.
Let me ask you this question. It's a little bit soft side of it. So you were there since 1955. Were there any dangerous encounter that you might lost your life?
No,
No. Okay.
it was pretty
Settled, right?
settled
Yeah.
at that time. There was several conflicts going on, but not near where I was.
Okay. What was your rank, by the way?
Well, I made PFC and I lost PFC.
Why?
Well, I was going places I wasn't supposed to go. And then I got my rank back and I was threatened to put zippers on it.
Oh.
Because I kept getting it and losing it, so. Other than that, though, I mean, I was PFC most of the
PFC.
time.
Okay. How much did you get at the time? Monthly? Do you remember?
$97 a month. That was overseas pay.
Oh goodness.
And what did you do with that money?
Sent it home. There was nothing to spend it on there.
You were able to do gambling
I mean,
or drinking or go out to the town, right?
well, yeah, but I mean, what I kept some money, but most of it went home.
Ah.
And that,
So who kept that money?
my dad,
Your dad.
I'd send it home to him and he put it in the bank for me. And that, so, that way I'd have a little bit when I came home, although I did spend quite a bit in Japan when I went there. I was there for 2 weeks
R&R.
on R&R.
Yeah.
I flew out of K-14 at that time.
Mhm.
That was an experience in itself right there. When I got to Japan, there was, I spent 2 weeks over there and it was bad weather, so I couldn't get back in time, and so when I did get back, they overloaded the plane, and the pilot had to make 3 tries to get off the field, and when he did get off the field and that, he trimmed the branch or the leaves off the top of the trees. I was willing to get off and lighten the load, but they had to get us all back.
And how was life there? Where did you sleep? What kind of food did you eat? You can ask follow-up questions about the soft side of it.
Well, the food wasn't top great as far as I was concerned, although we got a good cook in when I was halfway through my tour, and it got a little bit better. But
What did you eat? Tell me the menu.
the menu, mashed potatoes and Spam. We had steak once in a great while. We had a lot of lamb or mutton. The Army was famous for serving mutton.
Uh-huh.
Is that something you can eat today? I mean,
No, ma'am.
mashed potatoes,
Oh, I still like mashed potatoes.
Spam.
I like Spam,
You just got through with the mutton. Burnt out.
but rice I can take it or I can leave it. I know I was to a meal at the Rock Soldiers compound and they serve fish heads and rice.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day I can't stomach that.
Yeah.
No reflection on you, but I mean, fish eyes doesn't get it.
I understand that completely. It's not in your culture, and
What did you do for entertainment to keep you occupied? I mean, when you
Going to the
weren't
club.
busy going to the club.
There was a British club, about a mile and a half away, and we used to hitch a ride down to the Limeys club to go to their club. It was livelier there than it was at ours. So I spent quite a bit of time down there and that.
The money that you kept, it went towards going to the club.
Yeah.
Which you haven't seen back home yet.
At that time, of course, let's see, I think I got $89 actually. That was with overseas pay.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, I kept out about $20. And at that time, we didn't use our own money. We had to, they had script and had to change it every 3 or 4 months. They would change the script. And so we'd have to trade in all of our money that we got, and then they'd issue different script. If you used the greenbacks, it went out on the black market. Mm-hmm. So they paid us, whenever they paid us in script.
Yeah.
When we was over there, we had to sign up to what we wanted to send home, and then they just issued whatever money that you planned on keeping there on your person. And they didn't encourage you to keep much of it for yourself and that.
Why is that?
I remember I had a mama-san do my laundry and that, and I had a hard time talking her into not putting starch on my underwear. She always wanted to starch my underwear.
Yeah. You don't need it.
No.
Couldn't have been too comfortable.
No, it's not comfortable. That was one nice thing. We didn't have to do our own laundry. Mama-san came up to the gate and that, and she'd do it for a couple packs of cigarettes a month. I know the cigarettes went out on the black market, but
Do you know what mama-san is?
I don't. That was going to be my next question.
it's the women.
Korean lady. That's how they call it. Mama means it's like a mother. You know?
Uh-huh. Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Working
And she
for.
was a mother too, because she had 4 little ones that sometimes she would come to the gate to pick it up, and then she'd pick up 5 or 6 guys' laundry. And I remember the little ones would carry it. And I could never figure out how a papa-san would have an A-frame, and he could put so much on that A-frame and carry it around. It was heavier than our backpacks, but yet he could pick it up and really cut a chogi with it. So
you were about 20 whenever you were drafted, give or take.
the what?
You were about 20 years old whenever you were drafted, give or take.
Yeah, 19, 20, right around in there, because I was married when I got back, and I was 21, so that's about, I was about 19 or 20.
You weren't married though whenever you were drafted. You married whenever you came back.
Yeah, I married after I came back.
Did you write back to your family?
Did she
Writing a letter.
Oh yeah, she wrote all the time.
You, mom?
My wife, that I was going with her before I went overseas,
I see.
and I wrote them both, and that our company commander insisted on us writing home at least once a week, and that, so I mean, in order to stay in good frame, you did as you're told.
But it must have been very hard for you to live apart such a long distance and working in a very dangerous
Oh yeah,
part of the world.
it was no picnic, and come Christmas, it was very hard. Of course, I come from a family of a sister and two brothers, and we were fairly close. And so, of course, I was only away for actually 2 Christmases. But the second Christmas, the folks left a Christmas tree up for me to when I got back, and I got back home. I got out on the 11th of January, and the folks left a tree up. So therefore, I had a little Christmas of the second year, but the first year Christmas I was in Korea, and I was on guard duty Christmas Eve, so it wasn't very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't, in Korea, we didn't celebrate Christmas. And I don't think the villagers didn't even know what Christmas
Right.
was in that. So, I mean, we'd mentioned to Mama-san or Papa-san when we seen them in that, and they didn't even know what Christmas was. So, therefore, we didn't have it. There was no such thing as a Christmas tree over there.
Do you have any pictures or anything from when you were stationed in Korea?
The what?
Do you have any pictures or anything from?
Yeah, I've got I've got a picture of some of the guys that that I was with. I spent the last 2 weeks trying to locate them, and with no avail.
Okay, so anything that you want to add to this interview about your service in Suwon, Korea? Anything that particular you want to mention and leave it to the interview?
Not that I can think of anything.
So you left Korea January 11th of 1957.
No, I left the service on that, but I left. I had 2 Christmas or New Year's Eves leaving Korea.
Really? So then you...
I crossed the international date line, and so I ended up having 2 New Year's Eves.
Oh, I see. When did you leave fourth state from Korea?
December 25th or 26th.
So the day of Christmas or day after?
Yeah, it was actually I left Korea a week early because the guy ahead of me went AWOL. And so they moved me up, and I was able to, I had to really hurry around to get everything packed and that to get over to the Repo Depot, Ashcom City, to ship out.
So 57, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was in 56 that I left Korea.
You left 56?
In 56, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Then I got out in January of 57. I was spent a week getting mustered out and that, and I landed in San Francisco on the 4th or 5th of January.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that distinctly because Elvis Presley was had a concert in San Francisco.
Did anybody ask you where have you been when you returned to your home?
Oh yeah, all my classmates and that wanted to know where I had been and that.
So basically, what that means that they didn't know where you were.
No. When I left town, I lived in a small town of Clinton, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
A population of about 1,200 people.
Yeah.
When I left, I knew everybody in town.
Mm-hmm.
When I came back, I didn't know a third of them.
Oh, okay.
You be gone for 2 years and that, well, things really changed.
Yeah. Have you been back to Korea since?
No.
No.
They, I see they're offering a trip
Yeah.
to Korea, but the price is a little steep for me right now. I'd love to go back just to see how it was or is,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just a little bit out of my
Got it.
price range right now. They're asking $2,500 a piece.
No. That's not true.
Oh,
Korean
yeah.
government is providing you the airline tickets and so on. You need to pay $500 just if you are going to go through some kind of travel agency in KWVA. But otherwise, you can go free.
450 here, printed on Graybeard.
Well,
The
now
Korea revisit.
the one that they sent me a flyer and had for $2,500 a piece.
No.
It may have something else in there, or extended tour or something like
Well,
that.
Extended tour to China and Japan.
Yeah, all
maybe.
those kind of stuff added onto it. If
Oh,
you
well,
if you don't want it, you only have to
I
pay
didn't lose
$450.
anything in Japan. I don't care to go back to Japan. Well, I just joined the Korean Veterans chapter about 3 months ago, and the lady friend, a guy that talked me into joining this.
Mm-hmm.
He just got back from Korea and he said that you wouldn't know the place now.
Exactly.
And but I'd really like to go back to see how it is now and how it was then. I never, they confiscated my camera when I took a picture of the DMZ
Mm-hmm.
in Pork Chop Hill, and like that, they took it away from me.
What do you mean?
They didn't
By
take the
they?
camera, they took the
What do you mean they? Who are they?
MPs.
MPs? Okay.
Yeah.
when you were in Korea?
Yes.
So now Korea is 11th largest economy in the world. Virtually there was nothing, right? You remember honeypot
Oh gosh, yes.
and mama-san and everybody
And
was
Papa.
trying to steal, right?
Yeah.
Now Korea, with the size of Indiana state, it's very small country, you know,
Yeah.
and just South Korea is 11th largest economy in the world, and we are the most free democracy in Asia.
Is that right?
How about that? Tell me about it. What do you feel that? Huh?
I'm amazed. Of course, when I was there, the people were really destitute. Excuse the way I put it.
Fine. We were there like that.
And at every place they went, they walked. These old buses, like I've got a picture of here, people were on top and hanging out the windows, and if the bus wasn't full, they had chickens in crates inside the bus. And it's hard to believe that they've come so far, although I realize it's been 50 years, although it don't seem like that long. But it's been over 50 years since I've been there. As far as that goes, it's 60 years.
Yeah.
But it's just hard to believe that the economy has come that far, though.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And we were able to do that because you protected us and fought for us.
Yes, but we fought Germany, and they haven't come back that much. Of course, that was World War II. But it's hard to believe that the economy in Korea has gone that far.
I will let you know how you can go back to Korea, okay?
Yeah.
And you have to see what's been done by the blood and sacrifice of the Korean War veterans. So we Koreans never forget Korean War veterans. And that's why I am doing it, this one interview, okay?
Well, that makes me feel better because in this country, Korea is a forgotten war. And even though I was there, I haven't forgotten it. But yet the rest of the people have. And it makes me feel good that Korea has come back and that they're thinking of us. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So it does my heart good to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
So it blows my mind that they've come that far, especially after what I've seen over there.
Yeah.
And is Seoul really that big now?
It's one of the 10 biggest metropolitan city in the world. It's bigger than New York City.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, come on, you wouldn't put me on. would
No,
you?
come on. I'm professor in Syracuse University. It's much bigger than New York City.
I hope it's better than New York City.
It's really big. Any message do you want to leave to this interview as a lesson of your service to the young generation, or anything that you want to leave?
Well, no, I think I'm going to leave it alone. I'm glad that Korea has come back, and it's better than a whole lot better than it was. And I'm glad that Korea is an ally now. But just between you and me, I think we should have finished the job when we were there. That's only my opinion. Now, it isn't shared by all, but I think we should have finished the job when we were there
Yeah.
instead of, but Congress seemed fit to go the other way, same way with Vietnam.
Yeah.
And they made a mistake in Vietnam, and I think they made a mistake in Korea too.
Yeah.
I think South Korea would be a whole lot better off if North Korea was how shall I put it, civilized
Yeah. Yeah.
is South Korea.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I could get in trouble by saying that, I know. But just don't let it go too far.
Again, Korean nation, never forget your service, okay? And we'll continue to do this so that your memories and service and sacrifices will be kept forever in the website. And your interview will be uploaded to the website where you can see